And what's going on, everybody? It's your man EGlaze. Another edition of the EGlaze Chronicles. I'm here Monday. We're celebrating King James, but we'll talk about that later. We'll get into that, man. It's the Lakers. But we're here, man. It's a beautiful Monday. Another great week. We're here out there, fairly in Georgia. If you have it, get out there and vote, man. Early voting has started. For me, like me, I do the absentee way. Get out there, man. Exercise your right. Do what you can. Get your voting out there. But I'm here today with a guy, man, that I've become friends with over the last few years. He founded this great organization called Legacy Maker, the sports network. He's the sports editor as well. And I've seen him do some things. And I looked at him and I was like, that guy looks familiar. And we'll talk about something else that he did that we got to talk about. Where I first saw this guy for years. And we're going to talk about that role he played. But for now, please welcome Mr. Darrell Owens Jr., right?
Senior.
Let me change. How you doing today, bro?
Man, I'm doing phenomenal, man. I can't complain. Just taking it day by day.
Yeah. So let's start with this, man. Your thoughts on? Let's start with this. I've seen bubble play during this coronavirus. We all know what it did to sports in general, and for us who are independent sports owners and sports people, it hurt us pretty well because we were good at covering sports and doing things like this. What for you did it do for you as far as being able to cover sports? I know you was at the Redskins games, the football team games, and things like that in college. What did it do for you, and what did you have to change about your approach during this period of time?
It definitely put a damper on what we had going on. We were covering the Washington football team. For the last 3 seasons, we had been in there, getting in-depth coverage, training camps, all that good stuff. That kind of got shut down a little bit because of it, and that hurt us a little bit. Also, UVA football, same kind of dream. They were very tight on how they were letting people in. They didn't shut us out completely. They just, because of the restrictions that, independent media like ourselves, we kind of get a little bit of a bit of a punch in the chest there. Some of the local colleges around this area, VCU, Richmond, they still gave us some access. So on that front, we're not hurting too bad for the local area, but those 2 major ones kind of hurt a little bit. And hopefully in the next, hopefully by this time next year, we'll be back in the grind there. I don't have any doubts that we will be, but it is kind of tough on that front. I think the other thing for us during that time is that we had to go in here and figure out, okay, what do we do to keep people's minds on the sports world? People were begging, needed sports, had to find a way to get it going. And, I had a meeting with my team and I'm like, guys, we got to go outside the way and figure some stuff out. And, I got to give credit to my team and, my partner in crime and co-founder, Jay Quimby. We, stuck our heads together and said, look, we're going to try to figure this thing out. And, I will say our growth has really grown during the coronavirus. It has blown my mind. But it also, like I said, it hurt us, but it helped us in the long run as well.
And it's funny you say that because we all had to make those adjustments and trying to figure out how to continue to give them sports and not knowing if there was going to be sports or what this year would put out there. But being able to continue to grow and to grind for you. Talk to us about Legacy Maker and what you guys set out to do, how long you've been doing this, and how you guys are able to stick through it and stick together throughout this time.
Well, it all started as a podcast. Me and Jay, my co-host on the podcast, it started off, we had talked about it, probably back in 2015, kind of mentioned it up. And then I kind of got it jump started with the podcast, did a couple episodes, and then Jay joined me. And then we, combo packaged that into something. We went to WBLZ, which we both have had affiliation with. We were there for almost a year. But as we started to get about midway through, me and Jay, had started brainstorming, and I told Jay, I said, Jay, this is a time for us to, we know what we want to do as a network, or we know what we want to do in the world of sports. So decided to take this thing to another level, and got a website. Next thing bam, month later, when we opened the website. Week later, were in the Washington football team or Redskins at the time, and a lot of people said, you'll never get in there because once you're too small and you'll never get in. And then we get in on the first shot, and people are like, "Well, how did you get in?" It's just I think they saw what our mindset was and what we wanted to do, and that little work that we did put out in that week's time. I think they saw that we meant business. So for us, it was just it started off as a little we're going to podcast it, and next thing you know, it has grown into this thing where people are starting to trust what we say, and that's the biggest thing I tell my team. I'm like, you want people to trust what you're saying out there, not just we just gonna throw some stuff up there just so it can look good. No, when you say something out there, you want people to believe and trust. And then in this industry, and this, if they come to Glaze, they want to know that Glaze, I got faith that Glaze is going to make, he's telling me the truth here. He's giving me the best analysis that he can give. And that's the same thing with my team. I tell them, I said, we just got to give the best analysis that we can and try to be as truthful as possible.
Shout out to WBLZ, man.
Yeah.
That was a fun stint. A lot of us, it had probably one of the best lineups that secretly people didn't know about.
It did. I mean, it's crazy.
A lot of great shows on that network at one time. Man.
Yeah, and if you go back and look, the Crush, us, Raphael, then the 3-point conversion, Rudy Reyes, Coach. I mean, there was, it was an all-star lineup. So I mean, yeah, definitely a shout out to them because they definitely got our foot rocking and rolling in the door.
Absolutely. So when you talk about that Washington credential, and I think what people really need to realize is credentials aren't the easiest to get. It's about trusting your product and people trusting what you're doing. And for a team, I always say the Crush has been blessed to cover 95% of the sports in Atlanta. That is not an easy task. And for you in your first year to be able to get the Redskins, I'm sorry, they were the Redskins at the time, but now, the football team, that was a big piece. But I always love the story where you told me that you had a connection in why, sometimes what we do, and let's be real, we're Black media owners. Right. Being able to get and do things like this, which is what we are trying to push. There was a connection that a lot of people need to be able to understand and just getting into that. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, I think when we got into Washington, the gentleman at the time who was the PR, the head of the communications department, he, when amongst us Black media that were there, a lot of us, he saw that there was a lack of us in the room. So I think that also helped seeing a Black man trying to go in and show that they have the talent in the media world, because we're not in a lot of rooms. I mean, you see big names, you see Stephen A, you see guys now, but if you look overall, we're not in a lot of rooms. And to build a relationship with certain organizations, schools, it takes a lot. I think a lot of people don't realize, and you touched on it, they don't realize how much goes into building a relationship with schools and organizations that they know that you're not there just to, I'm just here so I can go to a game. No, I mean, we're here to bring you the best we can, and give, give the best coverage we possibly can and give our mindset when it comes to whatever sport it is. And so we always try to do our best, and we always try to make sure the school, because it started off mostly with schools for us, but schools and organizations know that we are putting in this work and that everything that we're trying to do is legit. I think that's the biggest thing with smaller media. It's just proving how legit you are. I mean, it's easy for ESPNs and the Fox Sportses, but the Crushes and the Legacy Maker Sports networks out there, we have to prove ourselves every single day that you can't have a slow day. ESPN, they can make a mistake. They can got a couple weeks to mess it up. You can't mess up at Legacy Maker or Crush. You got to keep rolling until you get to that point. And it's been a journey. I mean, we're technically almost into our 4th year. That'll be next month. The network is 3 years, but the podcast itself is 4 years. So it's been a 4-year journey. And, we just, every time we go out, I tell my guys and ladies, we got to give our full effort. We worked hard to get into some of these arenas like NASCAR. I want to give love to Becca Cottingham because She's one person that came onto my team and said, you know, she never she just came in and just started rocking and rolling, and she got us into the NASCAR world, and we've got a pretty decent, partnership or relationship with NASCAR, and that was mostly because of all the hard work that she put in. And so I want to give her that much love, but it takes people like that on the team to see that, will see your vision and then take it to that next level. And I got a whole team of that right now, so it makes me happy.
When was the aha moment? When was the moment where you were like, we can do this? We're getting there. We're getting that credibility. We're getting that. And it's not about notoriety. I think a lot of people think, it's good when people say they listen to the Crush and, listen to Maker. But sometimes it's the other things of being able to go into a room and everybody say, oh, the Crush is here, or Legacy Maker's here, or you can do that. When it was the aha moment that you guys were becoming a viable network for people to listen to?
I had two moments. One, we went to I went to a Washington football game maybe like a year, not this year, but the year before last. And when I walked in, the PR team saw me and they was like, "Hey, Darrell," like knew my name. And I rarely, other than the main person, I rarely talked to anybody else. It was like, "Hey, Darrell, how you doing today? You in your normal spot today?" Said a couple other things to me, and for me, I'm like, man, wow, they know my name, they know who I am. I didn't have to break down who we are and what we do. They knew what we did, and they, go ahead, see your normal seat is up here, da 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 da. That was one moment for me that made me feel like, okay, we're starting to, people know that we're legit. The other moment came to me ACC Media Day last year. We were at the event covering UVA, of course, and I think we were only one of the couple of people that made the trip down there to cover UVA, and they came up to us. Their PR team came up to us and said, "Legacy Maker, it's good to see you here." So that made me feel good because when we first started, UVA was one of the first places I tried to get into, and they told us, we don't cover your type of media. We don't let that type of media in. Independence is not what we do. So it took we got into one game, University of Richmond, and we were covering University of Richmond. They were playing UVA. That got our foot in the door, and from that point on, they respected us. So those two moments for me gave me verification that or gratification, whatever you want to put it, gave me that knowing, hey man, that we're starting to make strides because they see us. And then you have coaches call you by your name. VCU coach, I interviewed him the other day. He's like, "Hey D, man, how you doing, man? You know how we doing?" I'm like, man, that makes me feel good because I know that they trust us, one, and two, we're making strides.
It's funny you say that because that Georgia Tech told us the same thing when I first asked about 5 years ago. They say we don't do internet radio.
Right.
We don't get credentials to internet radio. And now it's amazing. Like, my quick aha moment there's a couple, but the first one was, the latest one was when we went and covered Georgia Tech, Clemson, and they got us 2 seats in the media box. And I was like,
wow.
And I just sat there watching this Clemson, and this is right after they won the national championship. So we got that. And that's great to hear, man. But let me ask you, let's jump into a little sports real quick.
Okay.
I got you on, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about what you've seen. I know you're a Miami guy. I know you're a Heat fan, man. So, but
baby hurt right now, but that's okay.
Yeah, but you're all right, man.
I'm all right.
Yo, but talk about the series, and I think what I talked about a little bit earlier about. I hate when people try to discredit players and athletes in playing, and right. I've heard people, and obviously I got the wrong friends because I've heard people say asterisk and all this, but this season went on a full year. It started in October last year.
It's almost a whole year old.
It switched, went from playing, stopped, got back together in the bubble, and shout out to the NBA. No cases while these players played. Still put on a product. Everybody said, well, the ratings were down, but you playing against every sport. It was a different feeling. They still put it on, and the Lakers are the champions. And I just want to get your thoughts on this NBA season and also other sports like NFL playing during these times. And I keep hearing the NFL with this corona, but I'm appreciating because I'm a sports guy and I like to see it. But your thoughts on how everything went down and how the leagues have been handling it?
First of all, the NBA and the NHL, hands up to you. I mean, they, I got to give love where love was due. The NHL had the same thing where they didn't have any They didn't have any cases. And I always thought that NHL playoffs is the best crowd commentator. If you don't watch anytime, you got to watch during playoff time. So they did miss that factor with the fans being there and just truly having that. So they did a great job. But the NBA to me did a phenomenal job. And I think that with, a lot of people say, oh, it's an asterisk, oh, it's not this. But this is basketball in its purest form. And I tell people this because, look, one, you don't have the crowd. Yeah, they had it flip each game and all that stuff, and they put their colors up. But you had no crowd there that could sway a team either or. It was pure, some people call it AAU ball. I've heard AAU tournament, but it's pure basketball at its form. The coaches had to, didn't have to adjust the crowd, but this is just straight basketball. And to me, I think that if anything, this championship will mean more to some of these players because of the sacrifice they had. I mean, think about it. It was almost like going in the military in a way. And I'm not trying to discredit, but you go in the military, you leave for months on end, you don't see your family. They, usually in the NBA season, they still get a chance to go see their family. No, they were gone for what, 2 months, almost 2.5 months. They were gone from their families. And Bronny's still gonna get it when he get home, so he probably got like another hour or so. Before. It's happening. He about to get it tonight. So I mean, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, I think that in its form, this is probably the purest NBA that you'll ever see. And I think we got a chance to see some players that normally wouldn't get recognized, getting love. The Jamal Murrays in the world, Jimmy Butler, who's been an all-star, but I think people got to see a different side of Jimmy Butler in these playoffs. Donovan Mitchell before they got sent out. Devin Booker. We've seen what Devin Booker can do. So those guys are the type of guys that we're like, man, these guys are, wow, where did this guy come from? And now they're on the radar. So when next NBA season come around, they're going to be looking at these guys. But some of those guys took things to Dame Lillard. Let me not forget Dame to another level. So I love what they did. I'm proud of this Miami Heat team because a lot of people, this is supposed to be Bucks Lakers. They've been talking Bucks Lakers since the beginning of the season. And so for this Miami team and Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra to come in here and put a team together, the right pieces together, made me happy. Eric Spoelstra is a guy that I mean, I'm biased a little bit. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I mean, to me, he's the best coach in the NBA because he develops players. And yes, are the players like all-stars? No. Are the guys, the best players in the league? No. But think about what some of these guys, a couple years ago, they had 9 D-League players on the team. And they missed the playoffs by half again. They started off 11-30, went 30-11, missed the playoffs to D Wade and the Bulls at the time. But he's always had players the last couple of years that it's like, what? Duncan Robinson? Who is this guy? He was, those guys are that he's developed into great NBA players that nobody would have maybe given the time of day to. So I give him love there. The NFL, skip the NFL. I think the NFL is doing the best they can under the circumstance. But, it's tackle football. I was expecting them to be, they're way more contact. I mean, NBA's contact, but this is a different level. And I think that they're doing the best that they can, trying to adjust on the fly. I'm glad that we just got some football because I was worried that we wouldn't see it at all. But I think most teams have done a pretty decent job. You look at Tennessee. Tennessee's struggling right now. The Patriots are struggling a little bit. The Chiefs have had a couple, but for the most part, they've done their job. Baseball had a really bad problem with the Marlins. They end up making the playoffs, and and then St. Louis. So I look at those two organizations, and I look at those two sports, and they had some hiccups, but for the most part, I think that they've done the best they could under the circumstances. Man, you really don't know where this thing is going to get you. You just got to try to protect yourself the best way you can.
What's more important to you now as you own your network? I think we all are at some point fans of the sports. Mm-hmm. We have teams, we have things of that nature, but we also have a job to do. And right. So how was that for you to separate the fan in you? Because we do. I had a little breakdown about the Falcons a couple of weeks ago. I put all my Falcons gear in a trash bag.
I saw that. They have
throw it out. But I'm still going through some things right now. Right. But when it comes to this product that we create, how is it that you want to make sure that people realize Legacy Maker is not a fan? It's something that you can count on to tell sports the way you want to. And I love the way you do your wrap ups every night. on Sundays with football. I love the way you do that, and you put your clips in. But you're trying to get and it's okay to be a fan, but you also want to make sure that product is right. And how do you want to
right? And see, that's tough. That's tough for me because the last couple of weeks have been easy because Miami, the last two ones I did before this one, they were in the finals, so I was actually able to put them in the headline. But for me, I try to the teams that we cover, obviously UVA and the Washington football team. I make sure they go in the highlight because they're right now they're our top dog. I mean, and I make sure that they get the coverage that we promise to give them, even though we're not in the games right now. They know that just because we're not in there, we're not wavering our coverage, and we're not we're not taking a step back on our coverage because of that. And I just want to make sure that we're doing the best that we can. And on the network, I tell my guys that content for us is huge. We want to push as much content as possible. We want to push good content and stuff that people can be like, oh, I like that, or something that that's a little bit more unique. And like I said, during COVID, we've really grown so much, and everybody has stepped up, and that what makes me so proud because everybody's coming up with ideas. And maybe in the beginning when we first started, I'm not saying that the guys weren't ready to rock and roll, but I think this has helped everybody grow because it's like, man, we got to really step up if we want to keep things going. Not having Washington and not having UVA has kind of said we got to keep things rocking and rolling until we get back, because we know that we don't want to lose them completely, and that's why it's important for us to give that coverage. I appreciate you a couple months ago coming on the one-on-ones. I think that was something that COVID, birthed. And having you and Maceo on was an honor, because you're two guys that I truly look up to since the WBLC days. So it's just been, just pushing, just grinding and pushing and never giving up. And I think that's the biggest thing for us right now. Just keep pushing.
Thank you, man. And we play off each other. Iron sharpen iron. I always say that, and we've been able to watch each other both grow. Like you said, with 3-point conversion and other shows. So
right.
I'm actually with this. I'm gonna finish with these two questions. I'm gonna start with this one. I always want to talk about your past or some of the things that you did. And I remember when you first came in with WBLZ, and I was like, I know this brother. I know, is he Mr. Rollback? Is this Mr. Rollback from the Walmart days? And I saw it. I was like, then you put it out there like, I thought that was him. Tell everybody about those days. Tell them about them days, man. And how would that gig come about? And and you was a national commercial for a while. And you were a part of a national campaign. And talk about how you got into that, and do people still recognize you as Mr. Rollback?
I still do get recognized. It's weird because people come up to me and say, man, I know you from somewhere. Like you can see it burning them, and they heard my voice before. I probably woke them up in the middle of the night. I'm like, hey man, you want some ice cream? I mean, I'm pretty sure I woke up somebody up in the middle of the night. But for me, it all started. The store that I was working at had just opened up. 2009. We had only been open for like a couple of months, and the agency that does Walmart commercials, the Martin Agency out here in Richmond, they were coming by our store doing auditions for different, just like different in-store commercials. So I was like, oh man, I always want to be on TV. That'd be pretty cool just for fun, I was first person to audition, didn't get the first time around. It was all good. Second time around comes first person audition, and I got it. Then they tell me, well, sorry, we had to cut you from it. They still paid me, which was awesome. That was the easiest $1,000 I ever got. So they cut me off then. And then the rollback thing, the rollback thing came to fruition. It started as it was Halloween, and I dressed up as a wrestler per se. And I dressed up as I was trying to do the Rock version of, I used to call him Mr. Rollback, but I had their eyebrow, I had the belt. I came in there with an elbow pad that had rollback labels on there. I mean, I came in there to play. So everybody started calling me Mr. Rollback. I had the badge on my name badge. And so that happened. And then a couple months later, after that miss, though, the agency came in and said, we really like your personality. We're going to try something. And what I didn't know at the time, that the agency they were shooting their last shot because Walmart was talking about going with another agency. So they, and doing different things. So they came in the store. We did like a whole little palette thing, and I'm up in the high, Mr. Rollback, da 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 da. We finished filming. I didn't think nothing of it. They told me they didn't know if it was gonna be on TV. I was like, okay, great. Didn't know if it was gonna be on TV. Just shot it for fun. I said, just make sure y'all give me a copy. A couple of days later, I get a phone call from the Walmart headquarters, and they're like, oh my God, we love this. We love this. Are you willing to do more? And I'm like, yeah. And it was like, we're going to pay you for that one, and we're going to do more on top. So next thing you know, I filmed the second one, filmed the third one, and I get a phone call, say, hey, look, we're filming a commercial out in Nashville. We want you to come. And me, scared to fly, never flown before. I was like, so how do I get this train ticket? I was like, how do I get this train ticket? Because I'm not doing that. And they was like, no, it's not bad, da da da. And from that point on, that summer was a wild summer. I went to Nashville for a week. I went to Houston for a couple of days, filmed some commercials down there, trashing Kroger. Sorry, Kroger. And we went to Essence Festival. Got to go on stage at Essence Festival with some big names, Charlie Wilson, Idris Elba. No, I'm destroying his name. Got to go in VIP section. Everybody was back there, man. It was Steve Harvey, Boris Cujo, Carrie Hilson, Kid from Kid and Play, Niecy Nash, Terry Crews. I was sitting in there with my wife, and I'm like, what is happening here? Like, this was a whole summer. The summer of 2010 was like a crazy time for me. Like, I just couldn't believe it. And then, unfortunately, according to all my representatives, including the guy who got me started, he got a job at Facebook, and he hit me up and was like, look, I just want to be as honest with you as possible. I'm going to Facebook. I'm leaving. And they're probably going to stop the commercials because you're getting too big for the brand. And I said, what do you mean? He said, you're like crazy popular. They had people calling. I'm pretty sure, who knows, Tyler Perry might have called, who knows, but people called, and they didn't, I don't think they meant to tell me, but it was like, yeah, people have been calling, trying to get a hold of you so we can, they want you in their commercials, but we told them that you are our guy. And then they pushed me to the side. Then they pushed me to the side, and that never happens. A lot of people don't know that story. But yeah, that kind of happened. And then we end up, they brought me back a couple years later, did some more commercials. I did training videos. So for like a 7-year span, I was still the face, running around doing training videos, the food safety video. I'm pretty sure if you know anybody who worked at Walmart, they saw my face at one point doing a video, the pathway videos, all that stuff. So it was a great run. And it's actually been a year since I left. It hurt my heart, because I love the company. Don't like a lot of what the direction is going into now, but they did so much for me. I met so many people. Jamie Foxx. I got to spend a whole evening with Jamie Foxx because of them, and he was so nice to me, and he treated me like I was a superstar. And I'm like, bro, you Jamie Foxx? Like, what you talking about? Like, I don't even know what this is right now. So Jamie Foxx was really nice to me. Got to spend the afternoon with Reese Witherspoon. Got to perform with her on stage. Got to perform with Jamie on stage. And it's just like, those are moments in my life that I will always cherish, because I would have never thought that this would happen. But, Walmart treated me well when I was there, and it was good times.
Wow. I was not expecting all that. That's so, wow. So you got bigger than the brand, they said?
I was told I was bigger than the brand. The Martin Agency wanted to make me the next, and this is their quote. They said they wanted to make me the next Flo. They said that you have potential to be the next Flo. People want you. We want you to be the next Flo. Or Progressive's Flo, but Walmart's
yeah.
And so, all of a sudden, Walmart was like, they don't want nobody bigger than the brand, and I was bigger than the brand. And that's an exclusive here on the EGlaze Chronicles.
Only can hear this here. Wow.
Yep.
Hey man, like I say, man, that's an amazing story. I will be cutting up that clip. You might well get ready, and that's what we posting.
That's all good.
That's awesome, Darrell, and I'm glad you straightened it out. I apologize if I messed your name up.
No, you good, brother. You good.
Darrell Owens. But let me ask you this, and I can tell in your work, and we're gonna wrap it up with this. Mm-hmm. Whenever you put something out from Mr. Rollback to Legacy Maker,
Mm-hmm.
What is the product? What product do you want people to see? What do you want them to get from anything that you touch and anything that you put your hands
on? So my time doing the commercials actually helped me tremendously in what I'm doing now. I wanted to go to school for this. I got into VCU. I got into Virginia Union, which I dearly regret not going, because no one was there to show me that financial aid means that you don't have to pay this money back. So nobody told me that, and all I saw was that check. I said, man, I ain't paying all that money back. I wish I'd had somebody to really truly guide me and tell me that, hey, they just never explained it to me. It was just a lot going on. So all the stuff I wanted to go to school for, mass communication, because I wanted to be in this. I wanted to be a sports journalist. I wanted to do that. And it's funny how God works, because I did all of this stuff, learn the business of commercials, what looks good, what's supposed to look good, what not to do when you're on the air, how not to say things, how to present yourself on the air. I learned all of that from being a part of doing those commercials. So like I said, in the long run, Walmart helped me out, and that's why I say I will never trash them, even though I feel like they kind of did me wrong a little bit. I won't trash them, because they were still phenomenal to me, and I met a lot of great people there. But it taught me how I wanted to present this, how to present, the network. And what I want people to get out of the work that I present is that, we want to give you top quality stuff, the best that we can with the resources we have. And then on top of that, I tell everybody who joins my team, Legacy Maker is exactly what the name is. Legacy Maker. We want to help build legacies. We want to help people within our organization. I know you've had that recently with one of your young talented young ladies growing. I was at CNN, if I'm not mistaken, right? I saw that the other day. It made me so happy. And that's the same. That's
just out there. Shout out to Nia, but that's our second one. We had one go to ESPN.
Wow.
And one go to CNN. So I've been. That's what we're trying to do, like you said. But
and so that's the same vision. Like I told my team, I want you guys and ladies to take that. If you have to leave me to go somewhere else, I am fine with it, as long as I know that you're growing. And that's what we're here for, to build legacies and help take you to that next level. So, I mean, if I always tell my team that you will never have to worry about me not being out there with you grinding. I'm not going to be a boss per se that goes out there and just say, do this. And you don't see that from me. So nobody on my team could be like, well, Darrell, you never do anything. Nah, that's why I'm out there hustling. You see me pop up with the videos every now and then, and I'm trying to make sure that I can be a good example for my team. And, that's what I'm about. That's what I want the network to be about. And that's how I want to continue to grow.
Well, my brother, it's been an honor. We got work to do. I always say that. I can say that this is my 68th show doing this. And my mouth has never went as open as that last thing you just said about the whole Mr. Rollback thing. My mouth dropped a little bit on that.
It's still mind blowing to me. It's still mind blowing to me.
Yeah, that's wow, bigger than Walmart. But okay, but that's great, man. Keep up the great work, man. Like I said, we have work to do. We got to keep doing what we're doing, because a lot of opportunities. I saw a stat saying that even though 83% of certain sports are African American, 83% of them covering are not African American, and that's some things that we got to get into these rooms and do. Darrell Owens, Legacy Sports Maker. Where can they find you guys at, man? Where they can find you at to find out more about this great product that you have going?
Well, we're on quite a few platforms. Our website is legacymakersports.com. You can hit us up on Facebook at Legacy Maker Sports Network, also on YouTube at Legacy Maker Sports Network, LinkedIn at Legacy Maker Sports Network, Instagram, we're Legacy Maker Sports, on Twitter, we're Legacy Maker SPN. And, you can find, and a lot of my team members, if you go on our website, you can check their bios out. Just a group of hungry people that just, love sports, have a passion for it, and want to do good things in this industry. So, that's where you can find us at, and hopefully you can come by and like us, and hopefully we can do good by you.
And there it is, everybody. One of my favorites to follow. Great guy, great product, and made me go to Walmart for years. But great job, Darrell. Keep doing your work, man. Keep growing. Appreciate what you're doing. We'll do what we can down here. You keep doing what you can up there, and let's grow this thing out, man, to cover what we can do, bro.
Always, brother. I appreciate you, EGlaze. And like I said before, you've always been right here to my heart, brother.
No problem, man. Thank you. Iron Sharpen Irons. And make sure you catch us every Monday. We got the Crush tomorrow. Me and Make Show. Woo, boy. I can tell you right now. With the Atlanta Falcons doing what they're doing and the Cowboys doing what they're doing, we got a lot to talk about tomorrow. So just join us tomorrow at 7 p.m. Sports Network. Hey, when's y'all next show? When y'all do your podcast, man?
So our podcast is kind of like scattered, and that's kind of because I'm always running. We kind of jump from week to week. Sometimes we take a little bit of a hiatus. Our goal is to be back on Friday. Okay. But we try to bring you at least something with if not once a week, every 2 weeks. So. Okay.
So just follow all his social media, his website. You'll find out when they're doing the next one. I think it's one of the best. Me and him have another thing. Just as big a wrestling fan as you are, I am.
Yes, sir.
But I record all on Monday, Friday, Wednesdays. I'm all into it. I know in 28 minutes it comes on again, so I'll be watching.
Facts.
Y'all enjoy it, man. Have a great day, everybody. Continue optimizing your vision. We'll check you out next time. Peace.